Welcome, everyone, to Bigfoot Live, a podcast about Bigfoot, the elusive Sasquatch, if you will. I've got a couple of renowned Bigfoot hunters here, one known as Stank Toe, the other one is Huggy Bear. They are here today to talk everything Sasquatch. No, just kidding. We're here to talk about games. Welcome to Games Talk Live. I've got my good friend Colt Eastwood here today. How are you, my friend? Welcome.
Good. Yeah, thank you. No, it's good to be here, man. A lot of stuff to talk about. I'm excited.
I bet you were hoping for Bigfoot Live, right?
Yeah, and hopefully I'm Huggy Bear. Hopefully.
You were Stank Toe, sir.
Ah, dang it.
You were Stank Toe. Huggy Bear, otherwise known as Forte, Gaming Forte here. Welcome, Forte, again, to like your 8th or 9th.
I know, setting records out here, man.
Yeah, you are. You're one
I
of
wonder who's been on here longer. Probably Colt.
You guys are pretty darn close, I'm sure. But maybe
it doesn't.
Maybe
it doesn't matter. We're all friends here. No,
Exactly.
I'm happy to be here, man. It's definitely you got me out of work earlier, so I love you.
Did I?
I changed my schedule because you asked me to come on.
What a nice person. I appreciate that.
Because I love this show.
Sith Lord, I appreciate your support for the show. He's joined. I appreciate you, man. Thank you very much for that. And no, you don't have to join my VIP, people. You don't need to join the VIP. It's not necessary. You know, you get all the content here for nothing if you'd if you'd like to support. That's fine.
But if you don't, you'll have to inundate this thing with ads live and interrupt the show. You got to make sure you give them that threat, Fonz.
Yeah. You know, who knows what YouTube might do? They might come along and put about 100 ads during my show, and you'll never get to enjoy it unless you join the VIP. Come on, that's nonsense. Stop it. Stop it, people. Hey. No, welcome to the show, everybody. It's good to see a lot of familiar faces in the chat. I see you, Cassie. I see you, Danny Passion Official. I've got Magnum, Talos, some great people. It's Timmy. I see you. Lots of good people here today. We're going to be talking about a lot of cool stuff. But first, before we get into the show real quick, I just want to ask my good friend Colt and Forte here. Like, what have you guys been up to recently? What have you been playing and all that good stuff? Colt, I'll start with you.
65, 70 hours of Forza Motorsport. It was kind of at the first, and then the more I play it, the more I love it. I've done every single race, really enjoying that game.
Yeah.
More than the last one. And then, oh man, my replay, my start over of Cyberpunk has been, it's been so nice. And I've been playing some Blade Runner and Cyberpunk style music in the background on Spotify as I just go around and walk and drive around the open world and just experiencing the game.
We talked about that before behind the scenes too. It kind of needs some more ambient music to the game.
Just a bit more. Yeah. It has some good stuff, but they could really do a little bit more with that. And you and I will stand here, right? I don't know where Forte is, but that was always a great game, and replaying it from scratch has been it's been great, really good.
Yeah, Forte, what have you been playing, man?
Same thing. Still finishing up Starfield. Started with Forza on, I want to say, Wednesday. Been playing a little bit of that. I think the only thing that irritates me about that game is the way the progression works per car now compared to all the other ones. But once I got past that and got a lot of the upgrades I wanted for my first car, then the game feels at home. It's just getting to that part for me was the thing. And I was like, oh my God, you changed it. But they changed it for the better. I think overall the game is a way better game because of it.
Do you have a one car that's like your favorite?
Oh,
the Miata.
I am a huge Mitsubishi Evo person. I love Evos.
Nice.
All right.
I'm all about listen, the Skylines, the Evos, I'm all into those cars. It's like, not muscle, but fast.
Are you too fast or are you too furious, Forte?
A little bit of both, but probably too fast.
I pictured Colt in like a little Golf, little Volkswagen Golf.
Oh,
I'm a
maybe a Volkswagen Rabbit. Maybe a Rabbit.
Hey, man,
cabriolet.
Hey, listen, those GTIs ain't no joke.
Exactly.
Those GTIs ain't no joke,
GTIs.
man.
No,
I'm a sucker for a good hatchback, though.
The
Forte,
Evo ain't no joke either. Good
I
stuff.
love anything 4-wheel drive, bro. 4-wheel drive for the win. Let's go.
Yeah.
How's the game looking to you guys, by the way? I know at first there was a lot of hesitation with some of the graphics, like some people were talking about how it doesn't look that great to them or whatever. But how does it look overall now that you've dived deeper into the game?
The more I play it, the better it looks, and the more I appreciate all the fine details. I was driving my car in real life. I'm driving this Cadillac through a very foggy, wet, I don't know what they call it, like overcast track. And I was looking at the body of the car, and I'm like talking around. I go, let me take a picture of this for you, because the black paint had this sweat on it. And you know, like when you back your car out of the driveway, if you have darker paint, in the morning to go to work, your car will have like these dark and light patches all over it as the car is warming up, and it's got the morning dew on it. Like, this was literally, I've never seen this in a car game ever. And it was all over the hood and on the roof of the car. I couldn't believe
it. That is pretty cool. I've yet to play it myself. However, it is in Game Pass, so I can have that option. I just haven't played much very lately. Really, I've been preoccupied with so much. But the one thing that I have seen, because I've been looking at stuff on YouTube and stuff, and I know there's compression there and everything, but it seems like Forza really tried to get a more of a sense of realism in the graphics than just this super arcadey, colorful palette that you get from most other racers. So, yeah, I think that's what they went for, and it looks like overall they hit it.
Yeah, the colors look a lot muted, but depending on the time of day, like he said, if you're playing in a bright, sunny day, you see all the reflections off the car. The colors pop more versus overshadowed or overcast days. Everything looks more muted and dull. Yeah. But then the effects of the game are turned up, because then that's when you see, like he said, the little dew beads on the car, and you'll see, like, you know, the rubber when you're going around the curve. You'll even see the rubber coming off of the tires as you're turning around corners and stuff. So it's a lot of stuff that you can see. I think a lot of the things underneath the hood is what they really did the most with this game. Visually, I think it looks just as good as any Forza have ever looked. I just think most of the improvements are all under the hood that 99% of the people that play the game probably won't appreciate, because they really don't understand how Forza Motorsport is compared to like Forza Horizon. And those are the things that they got to kind of separate on it.
One is more simulation racer, where the other one is more arcadey.
Exactly.
Really quick, I have been, like I said, I've been busy, but I did manage to play a bunch of Starfield.
What have you been playing?
I played some Starfield outside of real life. I've been playing some Starfield, and I finally beat Starfield, the main campaign anyway. Got into New Game Plus, and I gotta say, people, I think the game is it ends incredibly well. I think it's well written. I love the narrative of this game. I love how it progresses into New Game Plus. I think that what it does there is different than most other games that go into New Game Plus. I thought that was really creative, really well done. Starfield is a phenomenal game. So far, it's my game of the year, for sure. That said, I would give it an 8 out of 10. That's where I'm at with Starfield. It's a solid 8. Great game. I can see people giving it a higher score, and I wouldn't argue with them. But for me, 8 out of 10. I took a couple of points away because, and people hate that I say this, but it looks the game overall has this kind of dated look to it. It's not horrible in any way, but I want to see Bethesda progress a little bit, evolve a bit. Mm-hmm. I love their engine. Don't get me wrong. I don't want them to get away from that engine, because I love what it does. It brings a lot to the table that many other engines don't. I love the fact that you can pick up things, manipulate things anywhere in the world. You can drop something and then come back to it 400 hours later, and it's sitting there. It's like, oh, there's my
you use the zero gravity power, or throw a grenade after throwing zero gravity, and watch everything float in the room. Like, you just don't get that outside of scripted events. But yeah, I can see where you took it from.
But yeah, no, I love the game. I think it was phenomenal. So play the game if you haven't, people. I mean,
what are you going to move on to next, though, Fonz?
I was going to go into Cyberpunk first, but I think I'm going to change my mind since we're on the cusp of Spider-Man 2. I might play Spider-Man 2 first because since that's the quicker game, so to speak, like I'll be able to get through that a little bit faster. Then go into Cyberpunk and take my time with that and the new system and stuff. But Spider-Man 2, on the 20th, it's right around the corner, and I have that night off, so I'll be able to really dive in and get some game time in. So that should be some fun there. So yeah, I'm looking forward to that. But lately, what I've been doing is, I don't know if you know anything about this, Colt, but I've been doing a lot of analog to digital conversion using VHS tapes, and it is painstakingly long. I'm
Really?
I'm taking a bunch of home movies and stuff, and I'm trying to record it onto my hard drives, and you literally have to watch
Are you
the
coming
whole
in
tape.
through a RGB
Yes.
or a component?
It splits
RGB with the yellow video RCA converter?
And then it goes into HDMI converter, and then that goes into my computer, and then I record, and you have to record in real time. So if you have a 4-hour home movie, it's 4 hours you got to record there. So it's,
and you have to set it up on
Yeah.
you have to set it up on a, oh my gosh, 4 to 3 aspect ratio, right? And
you got to
on
do all that stuff, and then you also have to, like, I'm scrubbing through footage because I'm looking for more videos of my dad involved, because I'm making a
'cause
memorial
you're gonna put
video.
together the
I've got to make a
video.
memorial video for his funeral and stuff like that. By the way, people, thank you very much. I want to say from the bottom of my heart, from my family, thank you for all the love and support you've given me with the GoFundMe. It's still in the description below because, again, it's very expensive, and I've poured as much as I can into it, and I've been trying to implore people to really hit that up. So if you can, I'd appreciate that, for my dad's funeral and stuff. But outside of that, let's get back into this whole Games Talk situation, because we've got a lot to talk about this week, guys. So much has gone on. We had an announcement for a PS5 Slim come through, and let me tell you, I have not watched many reactions on this because I know I've talked to you, Colt. I've talked to a few other people. I know how you feel. But for me, honestly, it's so disappointing to see a Slim model come 3 years after the generation has started, and for a company, a corporation, to up the price. It is insane to me. Forte, I'll start with you. As a GameStop manager,
Good idea.
how does this feel, brother? How does it feel, man?
Oh man, as a GameStop manager, is great because I get to sell more stuff to people that are crazy enough to buy it. But as personally, it sucks because this is the thing I've been I've been telling people for a while. If you think about the PlayStation 5 in general, $399 for the digital system was the price that they came out with. The fact that this system is $499 or $449, I believe this was the intended price for the digital system when it first came out in 2020 or 2021. Because I think they just wanted to hit a certain price point. They wanted to sell as many systems as they possibly could. So they wanted to say, hey, we got a system that's $399 to kind of, get as close to the Xbox Series S as they could in price without breaking the bank. So they were like, and then if you think about it, they barely had those systems in stock. Like it was mostly every 1 to 2 out of 10 physical systems you would see a digital. So it wasn't like it was very easy to find a digital system. So they were losing money on those systems. I believe this system is their way of saying, hey, we're going to basically sell the system for what we think it's worth, which is $450. They're not losing money on it anymore. And I think the overall...
I would hope not.
Yeah, they're not losing money on it anymore. But I also think that you're going to see the dynamic flip when these new systems come out. Whereas you see a lot of digital physical systems in stores, when you walk out to see them, now you're going to see the opposite. You're going to see this digital system everywhere, $450, and then what they're going to do is they're just going to make sure there's a good, healthy amount of the disk drives out there for people to be able to buy if they want the physical option for the system, because they're making more money that way. I will never get on a company for trying to make more money. But it's just a simple fact that everything is backwards with them right now, because normally when you come out with a Slim system, you're talking about cheaper components. cheaper parts. You're downsizing the size of the system, so you would think that you're not spending as much money on the material to make it, but we're basically charging us more for stuff that you're taking out and giving us less. And I don't want to hear 175 gigs is the reason we're doing this. I'm like, and then people say Xbox charged you $50 more for the black Xbox Series S, and I'm like, they also doubled the space. Like doubled the space for $50. And people may not have paid attention to the leaked documents, but the leaked documents also show that in 2024, next year, when they come out with the new version of the Series S that's going to have Wi-Fi 6 and everything in it, they also say that system's going to be a 1 terabyte system for $299.
You know what? I'm so sick and tired of hearing, oh, the console's finally got Wi-Fi 6. Who gives a shit?
Who cares? It's finally going to have.
Who gives a shit? Seriously, because it's not going to do any more for you than the console will today. I mean, honestly, Wi-Fi 6 is irrelevant.
And guess what? Xbox ain't going to charge you more for Wi-Fi 6. They're not going to. They're also not going to tell you that we're going to give you a stand in one system and say like, oh, we're going to give you this multi-purpose stand with the PlayStation 4, PlayStation 5 that you can stand your system up and lay it down. And then we're going to say, oh, in this new system, guess what? All you're going to have to do is lay it down. You can't stand it up if you want to, because that's another misconception people have. They think that the stand that comes in a box can be used both ways, like the PS5 can be used now. It can't. If you look at the way that they, if you actually read what they said, they literally said horizontal stand. That means that stand is going to be horizontal, and the only way you can use that stand is in a laying down function.
Forte, let's look at that stand. Let's look at that horizontal stand. It's a freaking paperclip. It's just I don't know what that is.
It's the little thing they put on top of your pizza when you order pizza.
It's
like,
struggling.
There you go. It's a pizza box top. That's it. It's nothing. It's a piece of plastic that probably cost them half a cent. To me,
it looks like the thing they use that they add to like hang pants at JCPenney. Like
there you go.
It's a little clip that holds the pants like on whatever.
JCPenney pants clip. That's what Colt says. That's what it is, people.
That thing looks
it's jank.
Ridiculous.
It is jank. And see, and what you touched on earlier, talking about how, you know, you don't really want to call out a corporation for trying to make money or whatever. I do when it's at the expense of the consumer, and it's an egregious expense.
Look what Mav said. Hold on. Mav said PlayStation literally built a system that can't stand up or lay down sideways. Without this.
Yeah, without help.
Oh.
Yeah.
You said without help.
Because I mean, what they're essentially doing here is nickeling and diming us, and it's so egregious, so messed up that, you know, I've seen some PlayStation guys try to defend this. There is no defense, people. This is horrible. This is horrible. Colt, going to you. How do you feel about this? PlayStation 5 Slim.
Yeah, I mean, I'll just say it's 30% smaller. It's using less materials. It is cheaper to ship. It's cheaper to box. It's cheaper to set in retail space. Everything about it saves PlayStation money in an era when they've already admitted that the standard launch PS5, they've been making money off of it. So now they're cutting it even more, and they're passing the price gouging on to the PlayStation fans. And I think it's really, really crazy that we're in this situation where PlayStation is charging more further on in the generation because they feel like they don't have a true competitor in the console space, which, let's be honest, is a niche gaming market when you look at the rest of the world, who's mostly on PC and mobile. It's crazy.
Yeah.
So they're charging more, and Digital Foundry's not happy. They were just pretty much kind of laughing at this whole situation and in every aspect. A $30 stand that looks like it's made from a aluminium ring. It looks nicer than my stand's in the garbage. I think I threw it in a shelf somewhere. I stand it up without it. I don't care because I don't like the way it looks, but this is just weird. I don't know. I guess I've seen
you're almost at a loss for words. It's so weird because again, you have to think about this. This is the first time we've ever seen this in any console generation where a slim model is more expensive than the original. when there is cost-cutting measures there put into effect to create these things for them already, and on something they've already been making money off of, it's egregious. It's
did they do this before? Though I got to ask Forte, like, the PS3 had 3 models, I think, that were identical for the most part on the inside. Did they lower the price every time they released the new version of the PS3 back then?
Yes, they did. Every time.
So Xbox brought out the Xbox One S last generation, 6-7 years ago, and they lowered the price of the One S. It's so hard to say this now, because the Scorpio is coming and they're going to have the premium console. So the price went down for the standard Xbox One. But here we don't have a Pro yet, and it's probably coming next year or the year after that. So that's when that just means everyone is assuming that the PS5 Pro will be $599.
Scooter, and I know you're in the chat saying, but inflation, like, I know you're just making excuses for these. But here's the thing. Inflation be damned, because they were already making money on the regular PS5 despite inflation.
But wait, inflation. Hold on, let's be for real here. Inflation ain't got nothing to do with this, because inflation doesn't just affect one console. You saw the one with the disk drive, it's $500. So you would think inflation would affect that system too. They didn't change the price of that system. They changed the one system that they felt like they were underselling the price on it for $399, and they said, we feel like we're in a good enough place to sell it for $449. And that has nothing to do with inflation, because it would affect both consoles, not just one of them.
And you have to think about this too. Again, the Defense Force that I've seen, they're like, well, you could just buy the disc-based one for $499. That's the same price as the current one. No, it's not, because if you want to stand it up vertically, you have to buy that stand, which costs an additional $30. So essentially, it's $530 for this new slim model, which isn't very slim in my opinion.
Well, it's 30% smaller. It's
got to be. It's got to.
Scooter said he's being sarcastic when he said, "But
yeah." I know he was. I know he was. Exactly. I know he was.
30% smaller.
30% smaller.
And 13% more. Cost more.
Yeah.
So if they ship out, if they're planning on shipping out 20 million of these in the next few years, right? Forte, I'll ask you this, as you kind of understand how this ecosystem works. If PlayStation is planning on shipping 20+ million PS5 Slims, like, is there a lot of extra money to be made on a smaller box that weighs less over 20 million consoles?
Okay, so we don't know their overall financials on how much they made off a digital PS5 before this at $399. It's a good chance they either were breaking even or they were losing money on it. They are easily going to make money on this system, even if it's $5 per system.
I mean, they reported they were making money on the base PS5 a year ago or more.
Well, that was the base PS5, which the base PS5 you would consider is the system that they sell the most of, which is the $499 system. So they were definitely making money off that system. The thing is, this is what it sucks, but what's the genius about it is they're going to make more money off of the DVD drive than the entire system buying the system by itself. Like if you buy the digital PS5 and you have to buy the drive later, they're charging you $80 for it. Now, Blu-ray drives don't cost $80. They're basically making about 60 to 70% profit off that hard drive. I mean, the drive itself.
Blu-ray drives are probably stacked up in a warehouse to the ceiling in the modern era, where they're not going in much of anything at this point. Like, what is a Blu-ray drive going into? A Series X?
We can talk about that Blu-ray drive all day, right?
And this is the thing, though. They probably already 80. But this is the thing. They already probably own those drives, because guess what? They already purchased a crap ton of them for PS5 already. So all they did was redesign the way that the system operates and putting a drive in it. So they made it so you could do it yourself. So these are probably drives they already had, and they're charging you $80 for it. And anybody that knows anything about sales knows that accessories are anywhere from 50 to 70% profit.
Oh, yeah. I mean, what makes that little stand almost half the price of that Blu-ray drive? I mean, it's $30 freaking dollars. What makes a stand $30 freaking dollars?
It's all
so
marked
Sony's
up.
making more money. They're going to make more. Listen, that's the thing you got to think of. They are literally going to make more money off that drive than they make off an entire system. The stand by itself, they'll make more money off the stand than they will selling you that digital PS5. And that's why they separated it. They separated it just for that reason.
And here's what I suspect. This is honestly what I suspect. I believe they will have more digital consoles in the wild for sale than the ones with the disc drive to push
it's gonna flip
drive on you. So if you want that drive, you're going to have to buy it. That's what they're going to do. And they're catering to a fan base that obviously has screamed for wanting to pay more for greatness for how many years? They've screamed out on social media, I would gladly pay $80 to $100 for your game, Sony. Okay,
I'm just
then
not
you're going to
seeing
pay
a lot of people
$30
buying
for
that
a
expanded
stand.
drive. There's a rumor. There's another rumor that Xbox is looking into an clipping Blu-ray drive, but Forte, are a lot of people going to buy that Blu-ray drive to snap into the digital PS5?
Yes, because they're still, even knowing it's small, it's still a lot of people that prefer digital. I mean, prefer physical over digital.
Okay.
Now the thing is, they're going to try their hardest to find the system that comes with the drive, because that's the more optimal way of buying it. You save yourself $30 on that end. But
wasn't everybody doing the opposite at launch though? Trying to get that cheaper digital one?
Oh, yeah.
Well, that's what everybody did at launch. Everybody was trying to get the digital one at launch of PS5, but they didn't have that many of them. They had disc drive ones. So now you're going to see the opposite of that. They're going to say, oh, guess what? If you want a digital system, this is the cheaper version of it. But if you want a disc drive, oh, you know what? You won't be able to find the one with the disc drive. But hey, here's an option for you for $80 more. And then if you really want physical disc, here you go.
Yeah, I've even seen people say, well, it's only $50 for this, $80 for that. It's only this, it's only that. Look, just because you can afford it doesn't make it right. Doesn't make it right, people. I hate that when people try to cop out and say that stuff, or they point to people like you, Colt. You've got a bunch of influencers from Xbox who have Xbox controllers behind them. They buy all these controllers and stuff, but they're complaining about paying $50 for a console. Yeah. It's like, shut up. Those controllers are all optional. You need that console. See, with the PlayStation 5, you need the console to play the games day and date. No matter what, you need it.
I don't pretend to speak for a bunch of fans or for Xbox customers, but I definitely do hear them complain about, I want physical games, I want a physical console, or I don't want prices to go up on Game Pass. And some of that I'm like, well, I don't want those things going away or getting more expensive either. Some stuff I don't mind. I'm like, you know what? It's worth it to me to jump into Game Pass, but I'm very sensitive to how many people I've talked to that makes a difference to their life. Yeah. And so I'll never just say, oh, even though I've been guilty of saying maybe we need to let physical go, but that's another thing, that we're hearing Walmart, Best Buy, Target are all going to just yank that retail space for physical entertainment media. Yep. And they're going to probably put things in there that are way better, worth their money. For spot on a shelf is a retail spot that's worth a lot in a store.
We need more ding-dang air fryers on those shelves. Get rid of those.
Those air fryers sell, though.
Yeah, exactly. Look, the games do too, but the problem
Where's
is...
the air fryer console, Forte? That's what we want.
I think there's also something going around lately with the PlayStation community that I've seen this morning is the PlayStation community, a few of them out there anyway, are starting to get worried. They want to know, should we start worrying about what PlayStation has in store in terms of games in the future? Because we've heard things about Factions 2 not coming now. The possibility, the biggest rumor lately was it might come when The Last of Us 3 is released, which is not coming for many years, folks. So don't expect that anytime soon. So Factions 2, I don't believe is coming anytime soon. Forte, what do they have on the horizon besides? We know of Wolverine coming from Insomniac. Yep. But what are these other studios that they have acquired? What are they up to? What are they doing now?
Gas games. That's what your future is. Your future as a PlayStation gamer.
Hold up. You just said gas games.
That's
but
it.
we had their biggest studio, Naughty Dog, claim they can't really do a gas game. They put it on the back burner.
Doesn't matter. That's what Jim Ryan wanted him to do.
Well, Jim Ryan's gone, so who knows? And I still feel that Jim Ryan didn't just retire into the sunset, people.
He got fired.
I think he was forced out.
Listen,
He was fired.
I think in general, it's too late. A lot of these studios are making these type of games right now, and PlayStation has to kind of see it through to see exactly what they have with those games. Now they'll pivot real quickly if it doesn't work in their favor over the course of the next 1 to 2 years, maybe the third year, because they're not going to get completely away from their, story-driven blockbuster games. They're still going to make those. It's just like they always said, it's just going to be less of them because of the direction that they have to go when it comes to developing and making their games. But the near future, like I was telling people, this was the first year that you will see what a Jim Ryan PlayStation looked like, because everything up until this point, Sean Layton, Andrew House, that was pretty much already that was already preordained all the way up to the PlayStation 5 launch. The games that came out with PlayStation, that stuff was all greenlit back then. So this is the first year we were like, Jim Ryan, what do you got? And his to his credit, he said, hey, we need to find a way to get more money inside the coffers of PlayStation because it's hard for us to keep up with the demand of how much these games cost.
True.
And that's why you greenlit all of these games to say, hey, how can we do it? And that's why you go out and purchase Bungie for $3.6 billion to say, hey, we don't know how to do this. Help us navigate these waters. Now, it's going to take a couple of years to see exactly if that pans out for them, but that's what you have to look forward to from PlayStation outside of the random game that they announced over the course of the next year. But outside of Spider-Man, nobody knows what's on the horizon for them. Wolverine's the only like real technical game that we know about.
And we haven't even heard about that game for like two years.
2 years now. So it's real. I hate to say it's dire, because we don't know what they have. We don't know if we know there's games they're working on that they just haven't talked about. But as a fan of a game system, your number one thing is, how are you going to entertain me? And I'm willing to give PlayStation a pass for a bad year when it comes to like their games. I'm like, because I gave Xbox a pass. Back in 2019. I gave them a pass in 2020 and 2022 because they didn't have any real. They launched a brand new system without a game.
Colt's been giving Xbox a pass since 2017.
So I'm willing to give.
I'm just kidding.
Listen, I'm willing to give PlayStation Pass for a bad 2023.
Oh man!
But I'm not going to do that for 2024. What do you have to show us what the future of PlayStation is going to look like? And I'm worried because all we know is gas games basically now.
One thing I will say is I have all the confidence in the world in Wolverine and Insomniac making that game.
Absolutely.
That should be a fantastic game. But that's the only one that I'm looking forward to. Like, even hearing rumors about The Last of Us 3 does nothing for me, since they basically essentially killed the franchise with part 2, in my opinion, for myself anyway. Hated that story. So I'm not looking forward to that. I don't know if I'm looking forward to any Naughty Dog game going forward after I've looked into the situation and looked back at, Bruce Straley leaving the company and everything back in the day. And he was their main director. And he's the one that really shaped The Last of Us, the first game, and its DLC. He had nothing to do with The Last of Us 2. And I think that had a lot to do with the narrative going astray, so, if you will. And I think Neil Druckmann just basically took over the whole thing. And I'm not a big fan of Neil Druckmann's work, personally. Not a big fan.
Yeah.
So going forward, don't know what I have to look forward from them. They have some pretty looking games, nice mechanics and stuff. But if you're going to be having narrative-driven games, you better have a good narrative. And The Last of Us 2 was not it at all. So not looking forward to that. Aside from Colt, what games do you see that they have on the horizon? Because I know you've been trying to look into that.
I have. I put a graphic together, and there isn't so much worry when you think about that. Sucker Punch is most likely making Tsushima 2.
Yeah, I can't wait for that.
Sony Santa Monica is secretly making or not so secretly making a sci-fi brand new IP. Plus, they're also working on a standalone God of War expansion or game. So you can look at that and you know that there's a lot coming. But as far as their first party, it's really, really light for the rest of the generation moving forward. Otherwise, I think they would have said something at their last big showcase in the summer. But they also have a lot of great games that they don't make, the IPs they don't own, studios they don't own or manage. Like they have Final Fantasy Rebirth coming. They have they do own the IP for Death Stranding 2, which we know Death Stranding 2 is coming, and I'm sure it's going to be really good, owing off of the slight mistakes
and
of
the
first
remake
one, right?
of The Last of Us 2, the remake.
So, yep, you got that. And then, of course, I'm fairly certain that Factions is going to get canceled, and they'll just have to make some statement out of that. But hey, I'd rather see a game canceled than to come out like Redfall did, or delayed for many, many years. So they've got a lot of things. In my graphic, I got Spider-Man 2, Concord, Helldivers 2, Fair Games, Marathon, Stellar Blade, Rise of Ronin, Wolverine, Death Stranding 2. These are all,
but these are games that aren't necessarily first party. They're just exclusive to their platform. They are. And last night, Rand and I went through this list stringently, and I even fought him on the PlayStation games. Like there were some he didn't want to include, and I'm like, look, you said the rule is if it's published by Sony or Xbox. Oh, I see what you're saying.
Because Phil Spencer, he will tell you he considers a game that they pay for and they publish. Like As Dust Falls fine, but it's not a first party game because they paid for it. They're publishing it through Xbox Global Publishing, which is
the asterisk there. The asterisk is that it's not from a first party developer.
Right. So you could look at a listing like that, and if you do, PlayStation has according to this, Xbox has about 3 times more games in the roadmap from their first party studios. If I take out
look at what people like the amount of studios.
When you take out the the funny thing is ABK has only announced 2 games. Call of Duty 3 coming this year, and what was the other one? Project Odyssey, the Blizzard survival game. There's only 2 games from those 11 studios that have even been announced. But if I took out these what fans call second party games, like Final Fantasy Rebirth or Death Stranding 2, PlayStation has even fewer games coming because their first party studios haven't said anything. And I can't sit here and think they're not going to deliver because they've always delivered. For 25 years they've delivered. But the difference is now Xbox is fully engaged, fully like revved up and paced in. And all the times we were waiting for like those games that they talked about from 2019 on, they have nowhere to go but release. And it's something I think certain fans are going to have a hard time coming to grips with.
Yeah.
And the games have to be good, Forte. And so far, there's been some good and bad, but overall, they both kind of had the same quality of games from their first party studios. And I have another graphic that proves that too. So perception is a heck of a drug.
I think the biggest thing you said was how
you could put that graphic up if you want, Fonz.
This isn't the same Xbox. Xbox now is starting to get to the point where you're going to start seeing these games starting to release. And that was always the thing we always talked about was once they really, really get moving with the games coming out, then you're going to see a shift in pretty much everything that's going on inside of gaming, because Game Pass is definitely the player that everybody thought it was going to be, especially now with the news that happened yesterday with ABK. That's even more pronounced.
What happened there? What happened?
Yeah. A whole bunch of the executive staff came out and started welcoming, certain people to the ecosystem and saying, glad to have you here.
I didn't hear of that. Yeah.
Yeah, but the bad thing is for Sony is this is the worst part. This is like the worst time for them to be in the situation they're in. They needed to have some of those big blockbuster games that have come out to say, hey, PlayStation is still here. Anytime Xbox had something real positive happen for them over the course of the last 5-6 years, PlayStation always could counter that with a game like God of War or Spider-Man 2018 or just the launch of the PS5 itself or the original Horizon Zero Dawn. They had games that people wanted to play that would kind of take back some of the mind share from the stuff that Xbox was doing. Now they don't have that right now. Right now, after Spider-Man comes out, what are you going to talk about? So everything that happens in the future is just going to be nothing but benefiting Xbox in the marketing side of it, plus in the appeal of what gamers are going to want to see from the video game industry, unless PlayStation does something drastic that we don't know is going to happen yet. But it's just not a good time for them to not have anything really to show people right now.
Yeah. I put up Rise of Ronin on the screen because I'm personally looking forward to it. Like, this is a Team Ninja game that I think looks really good. Yeah, I'm looking forward to that one. But again, not a first-party developer, but first-party published, I guess, from PlayStation. So,
you know what, Fonz? I just see this and I'm thinking, where's Tsushima 2? Give me that.
Yeah, a lot of people are looking for that.
Oh, I love Ghost of Tsushima.
This does look good, though.
I think Ghost of Tsushima is probably my favorite samurai game ever, I think. I love the combat in that game. It's really fun. The narrative was decent, and it was just a fun game. Beautiful world and stuff. And, when they access the power of the PS5 and that SSD, then we'll really see what they have to work with. But no, it was a great game. But let me get to a couple of these super chats, by the way. I don't want these to go away. Hargeet Chani, thank you very much for the $2 super chat. He said, the $50 is an upcharge for the quality kickstand you get. Yeah, for that little paperclip pizza top box.
Clippy, as he calls it.
The Clippy.
Yeah. He calls it Clippy, yeah.
That's a good one. Jacob Tupua, thank you very much for the super chat. He says, would be ironic if Kotick moved over to Sony. Would it be ironic, he said, if Kotick moved over to Sony? Well, I
don't know I want that.
Yeah, who wants him? With all the bull crap that he was surrounded with. I don't know, man. I know he was a good dealer with, business and stuff, but, man, don't want that. Sith Lord, thank you very much for the $2 super chat. He says, my favorite guys, what up? Any food news? Food news?
Ooh,
food, huh?
I love food, man.
Yeah, I love food too, but no food news, I don't think.
My wife barbecued today. That's all I know. I can't wait to eat
food
it.
news right there.
Colt found a French fry in between his car seat and the.
What was it? Was it McDonald's or was it Riley's or Checkers?
It was McDonald's, so it was perfectly intact. It was it was carbon dated to 1987.
It's crazy. Have you seen where they take those cheeseburgers and fries from McDonald's and put them in like just a case and then leave them for years, come back to them, and it looks as edible as it was the day you bought it?
Hey, my stomach can take care of that, no problem. Don't worry about it. Don't you worry. Oh my gosh, Game Shark said top ramen. Or Marcha, I don't know how you say that. I was seeing it a million times.
Maruchan.
I was gonna say I swear, like 30 seconds ago, I was gonna say I wish there was a ramen place in my city. I would love to I'm so often I'm in the mood to go over and just order some ramen, and we don't have any here.
Yeah, the Bay Area, we've got a ton of them. There's ramen places everywhere, and they're all different. Yeah, all different. Danny Passion Official, thank you very much for the $5 super chat. He says, I can't wait to finish filming to listen to this episode on my way home. It's finally over, the ABK saga. Speaking of which, let's move into this ABK saga. I guess the deal is finally done, guys. Activision Blizzard King is now part of Xbox Studios and, of course, Microsoft. Xbox has finally crushed the competition. No longer will there be a PlayStation. PlayStation is done for. It's Xbox or nothing. Okay, that's BS. Anyways.
Phil Spencer.
Yeah. Phil Spencer. Spooge Demon. Anyways.
Oh my gosh.
Nobody will get that.
Nope.
No. So how can PlayStation survive at this point, Forte? How?
Ooh.
How?
Well, they're still going to get their 30%. so they'll be all right. They'll be all right. It's just the fact that they won't be able to leverage the biggest gaming IP in gaming history right now, saying that PlayStation's going PlayStation shows up to the end of the trailer. This will be the last year that you'll actually see something like that. So Xbox is going to take over those marketing rights. It's going to be a lot harder for PlayStation to kind of, navigate the waters of saying, hey, you want to, like, where's the best place to play? PlayStation. Well, Call of Duty, the best place to play is on Xbox because Game Pass is an option and all of those different things. So it's going to be a little rough for them. They're going to still get games like Call of Duty over there. Jim Ryan dropped the bag by not taking the deal that Phil Spencer had on the table at the very beginning of the whole thing when he was still offering all the other IPs as part of the 10-year. Now they only get Call of Duty. So that leaves the door open for games like Diablo and all that other stuff not to even come over to the PlayStation platform. They're pretty much at the mercy of what Xbox and Phil wants to do as long as he's the head of Xbox. So it's still good for them because they're still going to make money off Call of Duty being on their platform. But time is ticking. It's time for them to find out.
Yeah, it's good for the consumers.
It's ticking. They definitely need to find some game, and I don't know if they ever are.
I don't think they will.
That's going to help them stay off what's going to happen once Call of Duty officially is not something they can lean on anymore.
If they really go back to their roots and try to bring back something like a SOCOM and really update that game and make it just as fun as ever. I think they can do really well there. But even then, the juggernaut that is Call of Duty, it just, right. I mean, it baffles my mind, honestly. Year in, year out, people talk crap about this game, but it's still like the most sold game that year, every year. It never fails. And you being a GameStop manager, you see that time and time again.
You know what game's the second most game that's sold at the end of that year? The previous Call of Duty.
Yeah. It's insane. It's freaking crazy. Colt, I mean, what say you? I mean, I know you are glad that it's finally over with, my friend.
Oh, yeah. Geez,
yeah.
So
it's been 20 months, and I think I made like 5 or 6 production videos on this, talked about it on podcasts ad nauseum. Mm-hmm. All these people were saying this needs to be stopped. There's no way this is going to get passed. It's going to get blocked. They will not allow him to monopoly, and the courts and everybody gave us proof that it's not anywhere near monopoly, and Xbox had to make a bunch of ridiculous concessions along the way. But in the end, this is Xbox's gateway into PC and mobile, and it's a way to have, the way I say it, a license to print money. They're going to make great money off of Call of Duty and games like that, but also PlayStation is going to make 10% more off of every sale because of they're getting a better deal through Xbox, as I understand it, for their margin. And Xbox is bringing these games to Nintendo Switch, which they would have never been there, but they've reached out with that hand and they've signed that deal. So these games are actually going to more people, and because of Xbox not taking most of these games and locking them behind the ecosystem, most people will probably just end up buying them the way they want to. Call of Duty will be bought on PlayStation, but some of these other games may be bought from Xbox's ecosystem on PC, these new handhelds, and on the cloud streaming services. So it's crazy. And I've been saying for a long time, Xbox is they're in the right here with how they're tackling this. ABK wanted to be bought, and they're very far from a monopoly. So, yeah, I mean, that's kind of the speech, I suppose.
That's a great speech.
Speaking of the fact that, you have so much choice with Xbox, and I think this is the bigger deal to me, is the fact that, yes, it's good for consumers on the PlayStation side that they'll still get games like Call of Duty anyway, and they'll be able to play that, biggest selling games. But it's even better for us that do have an Xbox or at least have Game Pass, and we can play it anywhere. We don't have to have an Xbox. You can play that through cloud if you wanted to. I mean, I know that's not optimal, but there's PC there as well. So you have ways of accessing these games. And, a lot of people like naysay, oh, well, Phil was just lying when he said that they just want to give players more places to play and, spread these games out to more people. But it's the truth. They're the only company that does this. What other, console manufacturers putting their games out on other platforms? Day and date? None. So, I mean, it's a big deal. And I think that, and I know a lot of people hate to hear this, but that's very pro-consumer. pro consumer.
Of course it is.
You know,
Of course, it's PlayStation is working very hard to get to that point as well. They're working on PlayStation trophies for PC. They're getting studios just to make PC ports of games. They want that to be a reality because you can have a really great game that's really popular and sells well, but it's like Jim Ryan says, the console's not enough. And even if your game only sells 3 million, if you're only on a console, you know, maybe it doesn't sell 3 million. If you sell on PC, maybe you can get, like, if a game's just good enough to get 3 million sales, which is a very big success for most games. Like, this is just the reality of it, where you have to go further beyond just one piece of plastic.
Well,
and even PlayStation's will let you be there.
Well, yeah, and let me ask you about that, because Blue Arrow in the chat said they're the only company that can actually do this, talking about Microsoft going to other platforms. Do you believe that, Colt? Do you believe that PlayStation couldn't put their games day and date on PC?
Couldn't?
Yeah, I mean, he's saying that the only company.
I think it's strange that their studios are not commissioned to create a PC version of their game. Like, at this point, I just think PlayStation tells them, don't worry about the PC version. We have Nixus for that. And so a lot of these issues we get with games with the performance that, you know, like Lords of the Fallen, where these games have to be built for PC.
That game
They have to be built across all these spec requirements within minimum and required specs and recommended specs on PC. And then they have to build a Series S version, a Series X version, and then a PS5 version. PlayStation first party studios have this luxury right now where I think that the head of PlayStation has told those studios, don't worry about a PC port. I know we talked about that. Just build the PS5 version, just hone in on that focus, and we'll worry about the PC version later. But they will eventually get there where those games come out sooner. I don't know if they're going to start telling them to start working on PC ports, but I mean, Naughty Dog did a horrible job with theirs, so maybe they do need help.
Yeah, but again, that's something else that lends to the whole, you know, worry for PlayStation's future for a lot of people anyway, is the fact that there is more choice in where you can play these games. There is that added value with Game Pass and the loads of games going into Game Pass day and date. Now with ABK, it's even much larger. You get the biggest game in the world, the Call of Duty, going in there every time now. So Forte, you're going to say something.
I was going to say, remember back in 2015 when they started the Play Anywhere initiative? Mm-hmm. Shannon Loftus came out and was talking about how there wasn't that big of a crossover between PC and console.
Yeah.
And it was very negligible, but now you see a huge crossover between it. And the thing was, Xbox didn't make a big deal of it, but they started that journey with their gamers almost 8 years ago. So by the time we got to 2017, 2018, 2019, we were accustomed to that. We were accustomed to our games not just being on Xbox. We were accustomed to them being everywhere. PlayStation, on the other hand, they're afraid that their user base is going to rebel on them to a point where people will just not play on PlayStation anymore. PlayStation still wants people to buy their system because, let's be for real, they do make more money on their console. I mean, in their ecosystem than people are buying in their system. PlayStation wants all that money for themselves. They really don't want to go outside of the ecosystem for that. And they know if they had to make the decision that Xbox did, that pretty much doesn't end the PlayStation platform. But the fact that all their development cost and stuff is kind of tied up in other places. And we were talking about this on BRAP on Wednesday. Xbox's development tools, a lot of that stuff is already built in-house. They don't really pay for a lot of the things that other development houses have to pay for. Like, they don't have to pay for the PCs, like all the operating systems and stuff that they are working on. They don't have to worry about the dev environment that they have, because all that stuff is subsidized by Microsoft internally, so they can do that. Where PlayStation kind of has to piecemeal and pay for that stuff outright. That's why you hear Sean Layton talk about the price of games are going up. But then people are equating that with Xbox, saying, well, how can Xbox sustain Game Pass? Well, they're not paying the same amount of money that everybody else is paying, because they're not paying for those services that they already built homegrown inside a house. But PlayStation doesn't want to pull the plug and tell their gamers, hey, for us to be profitable the way we want to be, we need to put these games everywhere, day and day, or in a faster manner than they're doing. Because I don't care what anybody says, you will make more. People keep saying, well, people will double dip. Yeah, people will double dip, but they won't buy a game that launched 2 years before at the same clip if they would have bought it when it first came out.
That double dip has like a half-life, right? By the time they get the console or the PC version of the game, you not only have the PS5 customers who already had the game who don't feel like they need to buy it again, but then the PC fans who, like you said, the 2 years, like that to buy that game for $60 or $70, that desire goes way down. I don't care whose game you got.
Yeah, so I think they're afraid to pull the plug on them and say, hey, we need to do this because they feel like it'll be a mass exodus. Xbox said, screw the exodus. We don't care if you play your games here, you play them there. Listen to Phil Spencer's, and we'll talk about it later again, his thing to ABK when he's talking to the talking to everybody, talking to the fans. If you're a fan of ABK, we want to welcome you even if Xbox isn't your preferred platform. They're telling people, like, we don't care. Welcome to Xbox, even if you don't play on Xbox.
I mean, that's his way of saying we just want you to buy the games. Yeah.
That's a completely different outlook than what Xbox has versus what PlayStation has. And PlayStation doesn't want to lose the ability to, I want to say manipulate their player base. That's why they want to sell stands and charge you $50 more for a system. They don't want to lose that ability, and they know they will if they go full force like Xbox is doing.
So, Forte, do you think if PlayStation started to bring that messaging that we're going to bring our games to PC as soon as we can, don't worry if you're on PC, like, we want to get our games to you as soon as possible, do they really truly believe that the console sales numbers would just start to dive or would slow down? They
would die because I wouldn't buy a PlayStation. I would not buy
I know you have a gaming PC, but I think there is a large majority of console owners that don't have a gaming PC. So, or at least don't have a PC that will be even equate to something like the PS5 to play their games.
Well, I mean, I say console gaming's niche, but like there are millions of people who would rather play on a console than a PC. But then there are probably 10 times that are like, I don't mind playing on PC. Like, I'm fine with it. I don't know, but those are just numbers I'm just making up.
Well, that's the thing I was going to say. They keep talking about the adjustable market for gaming for console is 300 million. I would say, yeah, you're right. There's still going to be a healthy amount of people that want to play on console, but that 300 million ain't going to be 300 million. It's going to probably be closer to 250 million. Because there's a lot of people that would be like, I don't have to have both systems if I could play them all on this system.
Of course, but I don't think again.
But it won't make a huge dent. It would just make a dent.
No, because here's the problem with that too. It's you got a bunch of guys that look at the games on PlayStation 5, right? Most of their in-house games. What is the one thing that a lot of people complain about on the Xbox side with some of these games? Oh, they don't have 60 frames. Why doesn't this have 60 frames? But if you look over the Sony side, most of their games, if not all, have a 60 frames mode, right? So the reason for that too is I think in the way the games are built. I think a lot of their games, as much as a lot of people will probably hate that I say this, but a lot of their games look like you can have a port over to last gen consoles and it would just be, it'd be just fine.
Fonz, that's why the PlayStation games, when they come to PC, they run like 120 frames with ray tracing.
Yeah.
Like people don't understand. They're like, I was in an argument with someone about how the new Spider-Man has 3 ray tracing modes and 2 of them at 60, right? And like, he was like, this is next gen. I'm like, it's literally last gen. That's why it's able to do so much on a PS5.
I don't want people to take this and act like I was talking crap because I'm not. I think the games look amazing. But again, I've even pushed for games to, maybe not get pushed so hard. And I would like last gen graphics and everything, just super up-resed and stuff. And the details and everything to get better on our consoles, on these current consoles, because I played something like Assassin's Creed Odyssey, and I thought that looked great on the Series X. Amazing. Why do I need, to really push the envelope on these consoles? They're not very strong to begin with when you're comparing them to current PC tech anyway. So I'm fine with that. But again, looking at most of the PlayStation games, they do look like they can all run on PlayStation 4 hardware. Just you'd have to dumb them down a bit. And by that, I mean just scale back some of the graphics and stuff. Yes, there's some aspects of these games that utilize the SSD that you can't run that way on the PlayStation 4. We get that. But for the most part, the games look in general. It just
but
aren't.
You take it away the selling point,
gen.
though, because you already know that the thing that people look at the most, and not talking about us, but just the mass consumer, the prettier it looks, the more they want it. And if they dumb it down to the point where it doesn't look as good, if they can't tell the difference between last gen and this gen, at least in their perceived vision of it, then they're not going to upgrade. And that's why they push graphics, and they don't push, the overall they don't push like the overall game design of it and give you like more things on the screen, because they look at it like, well, people don't care about more stuff on the screen. They just care about how pretty it looks. Yeah.
No, for sure. But I think that it wouldn't make a huge dent if they went day and date on PC in terms of people buying consoles, but they would make a huge profit if they were to do that. PlayStation would make even more money because they'd be getting,
It wouldn't hurt. It wouldn't hurt. It wouldn't hurt.
It wouldn't hurt them at all. And I'll say this:
Nintendo's the only one that wouldn't be hurt by this.
And I'll say this: I think that they go day and date with PC within 2 years. Within 2 years' time,
it's coming. It's coming
within
soon.
2 years' time.
Yeah, that's coming. There's no denying that. That's coming.
Yeah. Interesting thing. Somebody wrote. Sin wrote in the chat. He said, Colt, can you speak on the possibility of Xbox exploiting the content parity clause by putting out a very pro Xbox themed skins and maps for, say, COD, or kind of skewing it in the favor of Xbox because now they own COD?
Like Xbox themed, but everybody can buy it and play it.
I mean, that'd be kind of weird.
Probably
on PlayStation.
means skirting the parity by allowing that only to be on Xbox. But Phil has said for 5 or 6 years that he's not interested in splitting communities that are already existing.
Yeah,
he hates that PlayStation had map packs, and he hates that Xbox used to have map packs that only Xbox fans could get. It lowers the amount of people who can play together, and so no, I don't think he would do that, but. I think it would be a cool idea to kind of pig off of partially what he said is get the Call of Duty teams to build something a little bit Xbox related as free marketing, but maybe that's super, super cheesy. So I couldn't see that happening. Like you go around fighting on the inside of an Xbox console.
I can definitely see that happening. Game Pass subscribers get exclusive skins that you only can get while you're a Game Pass, where you're a Game Pass subscriber. I can easily see that. Because I think the thing about the parity clause, I think more has something to do with just the overall feature that are in the game. Like, you can't have 60 frames per second on one and not the other, or the whole co-op thing that they were having when it comes to Baldur's Gate and stuff. I think that's where the parity clause comes in. But I think when it comes to like cosmetics, things that you added to the game, like skins or something like that, I think that stuff is 100% go, because at that point, give people a reason to say, hey, if I come over to Xbox or if I subscribe to Game Pass and get it over here, I get this really cool looking skin. And PlayStation did this all last generation PlayStation did this all last generation when it comes to like games that they had marketing deals with. Like Destiny, for one, had weapons that you couldn't even get on another system, or they had skins you could complete maps that you couldn't even play on the other system. So this is something that can definitely happen, and I think it should happen.
I say sell them to everybody. I say get Marcus Phoenix, Master Chief, operators, get all the Xbox IP related operators that you want to build and sell them to everybody.
You know how that
there's a reason why they did that.
And then have PlayStation fans fighting against
you know when that's going to happen, Colt? You're right.
Never?
That should happen. No, it will happen. It will happen when Game Pass is on PlayStation.
Well, the reason why you make those sort of things exclusive to your platform is that's how you entice people to choose your version over somebody else's. And if you own that IP, it makes sense, right? I get it. It sucks when you do outside of cosmetics, when you do things like what they did with Destiny over on PlayStation. They had those certain maps and stuff that you can have that you couldn't. Yeah, that stuff is terrible. Like I don't want that at all. Yeah, but if you do anything cosmetic, like even a cosmetic Halo gun in Call of Duty or something, or whatever, just that's fine to me. That's fine. There's no problem with that. Let me get through some of these super chats. Highland001, thank you, Highlander. Thank you very much for the $5. He says, I just want to know who will run ABK if World of Warcraft goes to Game Pass and goes to console, and when we see games in Game Pass. This is new territory in gaming. So what do you think he means by who will run ABK?
So who's going to take Bobby Kotick's place? Think, so since he's leaving at the beginning of 2024, a lot of people are going to say Sarah Bond, but I don't think it should be Sarah Bond, because I think Sarah Bond is being groomed to take Phil Spencer's spot.
That's what I think too.
And I don't feel like, yes, you could put her in an interim role with ABK and have her run it until he leaves, but I kind of think they want to have some stability in that position. So I think Mike Ybarra is going to step up and take that position, and I think Rock Ferguson is going to jump into the position that Mike already has.
Interesting.
So you're going to see. So Ybarra is going to probably end, because he's pretty familiar with the overall systems that Microsoft already has in place. His biggest thing was he didn't feel like there was a lot of advancement from his position inside of Microsoft, on top of a lot of other things.
Dang, Forte is on top of it today.
Yes, he is.
So now the simple fact is he's literally one step away from where Phil Spencer is if he does jump into that position with ABK and starts to be the CEO of it, and he only reports to Phil at that point, which is kind of always what he wanted. He wanted to be in a higher part of leadership. So I think he takes over, Rock Ferguson steps up, and then we still keep what's the name in the position, so when Phil does decide to retire, she could just step right into that position. So that's what I think the hierarchy is going to end up being with ABK.
Nice. Let's go on to Maxi Coman. Thank you very much for the super chat. Where's ARS? What's ARS? Anybody know? ARS 50. Anyways, Fonz, I don't know you.
Yeah, I don't know where that is.
He said,
I'll look it up for you.
I haven't thought. I don't know.
I'll
he
look
says,
it up for you.
Fonz, I don't know you. I found you by Colt.
Argentine peso. Sorry. If you Argentine peso.
Oh, thank you very much for the Argentine peso. I appreciate you.
Nice.
You said last show about your dad was amazing. Hope the family is well. Thank you very much. I got a couple of really nice private messages about my last show. It was more of a real talk, kind of just a really deep, conversation about life and my dad and everything. And people seem to have loved that show that did watch it. So I appreciate you guys. That was very hard to do, but it was very it was kind of therapeutic, honestly, to be able to talk to Colt and just talk everything out. I had a blast with that. If you missed it, go check it out. It was a really good show. Magnum Westward, thank you very much. Celebrates 1 month of membership. Said Satya said let us compete. What he really meant was let us crush Sony. That's what he meant.
Oh, now.
I love it. Look, he said, oh, now. I love it.
Spend them out of business.
Spartan.
That's what Matt Booty said. Spend them out of business.
Yeah, apparently. Spartan661, thank you very much for the $5 super chat. He says, if I like a game, I'm going to buy it. Game Pass is there to show you the games you would never think of buying. No, I don't believe that. I think Game Pass is there to just give us a wide variety of games, and they're there for anybody to try. And sometimes you will find that hidden gem. I've done that myself, and I'm like, whoa, I didn't even want to play that game, or at least I didn't think I'd want to play that game, but I tried it, and I really liked it. That happens, and that's cool.
Mikey likes it.
He said, try games that you would never pay $70 for. Yeah.
You know, Game Pass has been that for me sometimes.
Sometimes it is. Sometimes.
Yeah. We've all played games in there that we would have never messed with. Like,
yeah,
I would have never, I don't think I would have bought, oh crap, I just forgot it. Death's Door. I would have never bought that game.
Yeah, it was
and
so
then I'm
good.
playing, I'm like, oh, geez, you know.
Yeah.
And it can happen with bigger games too. I would actually, real quick.
You know what?
I'm sure there's people that were like, I was not going to touch Gotham Knights with the 10-foot pole, and then I was playing it when Game Pass. I'm like, hey, this game's kind of fun.
I've seen that recently. I've seen people talking about it, saying, "Why was there so much hate for this game?" And I'm like,
let us know in the chat. You guys like actually kind of liked.
Yeah,
you don't have to love it, but we kind of really liked it a lot.
And Outriders was another one too. I wasn't really looking forward to Outriders, but it was in Game Pass, and I loved it. I thought it was a super fun game. Adrian with a $20 super chat says, convenience is king. I have tried using my PC as my living room gaming device, and it has not been a great experience. The streamlined experience on console will always be preferred over the performance advantage of the PC in his world. And I get that. I know people who swear, I never have any problems with my PC. I don't know what people are doing with their PCs. Do they have them up their butt when they're playing? Like, no. Sometimes things happen on PCs. I gamed on PC a long time ago, and I remember the number one thing that would happen a lot was I had to download new drivers. That was something that happened all the time with games. Like, oh, I need to download new drivers. I need to do this. But that aside, I would play on a gaming PC if I had one. I would definitely play some of these games that weren't 60 frames on console. I'd play them on my PC for sure. If the game on console had a 60 frames mode and was really done well, I would play it on console because of that convenience. For sure. For sure. I have no problem with that. Ultraman, thank you very much. He says, hey, Fonz, good to see you, man. Good to see you too as well, Ultraman. Yeah, I don't think I've seen you the past couple of shows, but it's good to have you, man. If I missed you, I'm sorry, but yeah, I recognize your face, brother. I recognize it. Captain Chats, $5. The pound, by the way, $4.99. So he says, can PlayStation put COD into their PS Plus subservice, or did that get taken out? Oh yeah, can they put it in there, or can they renegotiate that if they did take it out, or if they couldn't put it in? Are they allowed to put COD in their PS Plus? Their subscription service.
I don't think so, because it belongs to Xbox, so they'd have to pay for rights from Xbox, I guess. Is that how it works, Forte?
Yeah, that is how it works. I know that was, once again, that was also part of the deal that Phil Spencer had struck with them before the ruling from the FTC and the EU came down. But that all came off the table when they only got just the 10 years for Activision. Hence why a lot of people keep saying they took a big L by not taking that deal at the beginning, because they lost more than they gained by the time it was all over with.
Yeah. So for you, Forte, what is the biggest takeaway from Xbox now gaining ABK? What is the biggest part of all this for you, that how you feel anyway about this situation?
It basically just solidifies the fact that Xbox actually means something to Microsoft. You know, it's always been this kind of, it's always been like this cloak and dagger thing. Like, it's like, we known ever since basically 2018 that Xbox, that Microsoft really truly was behind Xbox, especially since Saudi has been there. But
it was dicey for a minute there, wasn't it?
It was real dicey for a minute, and a lot of people didn't really know if because to me, most companies wouldn't have fought this fight for 2 years to get this done. And it showed that Xbox was willing, because I kept telling people, I said, the only way that this does not go through is if Xbox or Microsoft gives up on it. And I'm happy to say that Xbox and Microsoft didn't give up on this deal, because most other people or companies would have been like, this is too much. We're spending too much money in legal fees and all this other stuff. And then on top of that, we're paying $70 billion for it too.
That part.
It really meant a lot to see Microsoft really stick with it and show that Xbox means this much to us. And that's what I took away from this. And it
Yeah.
also lets us know that games really matter to them. And they want to be the forefront in everybody's living room or TV or whatever screen you're
They want
sitting in
Game
front
Pass
of.
to succeed. That's what I look at it.
And that's the biggest thing that I took away from all of it.
Mm-hmm. No, that
Xbox
is
matters
true.
to Microsoft.
And nobody, I don't care who you are, you know, you can be the biggest fanboy of Sony, but one thing you can't say is that Game Pass doesn't provide value for millions of gamers. And especially now with Call of Duty going in there, the possibility of even like a World of Warcraft going into Game Pass is freaking phenomenal. That would be huge for so many gamers. And if it comes to console, that's crazy. Because that will put a lot of console gamers, that'll put a lot of console gamers playing Game Pass all the time. I'm telling you, that the game's like crack. Like, I think they'll probably do that, Colt. I think.
Well, that's why you
see
see that's why you see the keyboard and mouse under those leaked what's the names. They're making an actual Xbox keyboard and mouse.
Yeah, because you basically need that. I mean, you can map the controls to a controller for World of Warcraft, but it's not optimal at all. It's,
right.
I mean, Jez says it's pretty good. Zocker says it's not good.
It's not.
I guess it probably depends on how hardcore you are. I wouldn't know. I've never played the game ever.
Well, yeah, because I mean, you use that keyboard. You use a lot of real estate there when you're playing a game like that. And then you bind a lot of macros and stuff, and it's really, really.
That does not sound like a good time to me. I don't know,
it's so much fun once you get it all dialed in. It's such a fun game. Yeah, I mean, if it was part of the Game Pass subscription, I may even start playing again. But in moderation.
They need to do it. I don't care about World of Warcraft, but I would wave a flag down the street and say, put
you
World
would
of
try it
Warcraft
and
on
hate
console.
it. That's what I'm going to say.
Yeah, probably. But like I tell you, like I don't act like I speak for other people.
No, you
but
don't.
when I hear voices saying, I would love this, I'm like, go for it. Let's do it.
What's the biggest takeaway for you with this ABK deal being done? Besides the fact that it's done.
I mean, I love how Forte said, I'm going to repeat it, that they really do care about the Xbox platform and the brand, and that they really were all in, because for a while there, last year or earlier this year, it was like, man, if this just keeps going like this, Satya is going to like tell Phil, like, you know what, we tried, I gave you a shot on this, and we're out of here. It did get really dicey, but the big takeaway is that, Activision's going to do more than just Call of Duty. I think we're going to see that paradigm shift, and I think it's super important. And I think maybe Xbox's voice will kind of say to the studios, like, look, this is what we tell our studios. We don't dictate what you do, but we're going to strongly recommend that if your studios want to get out there and make something besides the trees in Call of Duty, then get those studios making what they want. And we've got Game Pass, so we want a bevy of different variety of games. So if Beanox has like been bugging you for years, like, we want to make this, we've been concepting this, Xbox should be telling the Activision team, like, you guys should really let him do it, you know? Like, we would strongly encourage that, and it'll work for this partnership. It works for the business model. If High Moon wants to make that Transformers game, like, come back and make an all-new third-person shooter Transformers game like they were, go for it. We'll pay for the license, and I think that's the change that we should see, is a change in frequency for Call of Duty and those studios getting out there and making what they actually want to make.
What about bringing back like a prototype, man? Prototype.
I talked about this the other day. Of course we want that.
Yeah,
but
I would love something like
I think
that.
in the grand scheme, I don't think Prototype 1 sold super well, and I'm pretty sure Prototype 2 didn't sell very well, and Radical Entertainment was dissolved down from 150 employees down to 50, and now they are not called Radical Entertainment. They are just helping with Call of Duty.
What?
So Prototype's awesome, and the fans love it, but I think it's not a viable thing to reboot, but I still think they should give it a crack, at least concept it, because I just played Prototype 2 again since the 360. I replayed it like at the beginning of the year, and the shooting is so bad. Like, you aim your thumbstick and you hold B to fire.
Mhm.
Like, and games used to do that 15 years ago.
You could take games and the premise of the games were really good.
Oh, yes.
So I mean, you can upgrade them to today's standards in that regards to the shooting.
And all the things I
and
said
stuff.
in the beginning about Prototype was like an objective look in the market and where things happened with the rose tinted glasses on, because I really liked Prototype too. Like, and I think it was a better game, and I thought the character was better, and it was just so it was so good. And replaying it just felt so old, but it actually looks really nice sometimes. So yeah, I mean, I would love to see something like that. And I said in my video real quick, I'll end with this, is that if Prototype isn't a viable investment, it's still a really good idea to just roll the dice and get out this anti-hero, superhero type sandbox game that we just don't get those anymore, do we, Forte?
Or you really don't get them on Xbox. That's for sure. You get some, at least you get some superhero games over on PlayStation.
PlayStation, yeah. That's why I say, hey,
but
you're not going to get like a Marvel, and the DC stuff has been pretty dicey, no matter how you slice it. I mean, well,
Gotham Knights was okay. I liked.
Yeah,
Gotham
I know
Knights,
we liked it, but it's been dicey on DC side. But it's like, hey, Forte, why don't we just? Why doesn't Xbox just do an anti-hero game?
Yeah,
I think it'd be cool.
It would make sense. And what about the rumors of like the possibility of Guitar Hero making a comeback? I've seen those being kicked up on Twitter, and
let me say something for 1 minute, because I want to hear Forte's like full. Forte, ramp up your brain for this, like from what you've seen over the past 15 years or so as those things came up and went. But I just don't think Guitar Hero will come back. I don't think in the modern era right now that many people are going to buy a plastic guitar and bring it into the living room. They tried in 2014, 2015 or something like that.
With Guitar
Hero, 5 or whatever it was. It did not do well.
Yeah.
Like it. Live. So Forte, tell us like what happened. You were there during the heyday. Were you working in the retail space?
I was. Man,
I liked Rock Band better.
Rock Band.
I liked Rock Band better, and we had the drum kit. We had everything.
Hey, listen.
I still do.
Harmonix was off the hook with Rock Band, bro. I bought. While you were saying, I was looking at my Xbox list, because I have Rock Band 4, and I was looking at all the DLCs because all that stuff transferred over, and I was like, I spent a lot of money on Rock Band. For a lot of money. I would love for that to happen, Colt. I would love for them to bring something like Guitar Hero back. I remember sitting there for hours and hours on end. A lot of the songs that I know came from there. I'm an African American, so I like R&B, hip hop, stuff like that. I like some country music and some rock stuff, but playing Rock Band really opened up my overall vocabulary when it came to a lot of songs that I didn't even know about. So I have a very great affinity for Guitar Hero, Rock Band, because they showed me another part of life that I knew nothing about. And it was amazing and it was awesome. But the thing is, now people don't really buy accessories like that anymore. And I don't know how a $300 kit would sell in this atmosphere, especially now that people don't even really like the music. The young people like it, but the people that are going to spend $300 on a kit are the people like us. And we don't even like the music that they play now.
There was a strong like rock and pop rock background, or at least it was on its way out, and it was still at its peak, I guess, back then.
It was still prevalent.
You're right, because I was the same, because I'm old like you are, and the music that 20-year-olds were listening to, like I started to get an affinity for them because I was learning them in Rock Band. And we still have the gear. We have the drums, we have 2 mics, we have 2 guitars,
that's funny that you guys mentioned that, because I got to the point as well where I'd be driving in my car and I'd hear a song come on the radio that was on Rock Band that I didn't necessarily listen to, but I played the hell out of it in Rock Band. So I'd start hearing it, I'd go, and I'd start seeing the colors, red, blue, yellow. I'm thinking to myself, like, this is crazy. Like I like these songs because of Rock Band. It I don't know. I love
Listen,
playing
I
with my
know what
kids,
Blake-
man. Me and my kids played Rock Band all the time, so that it's got a
We
special
still do.
place for me. Guitar Hero, though, I never. I mean, that wasn't my thing. But I remember this one time, and this is when Rock Band was on, or Guitar Hero was on its way out. I went to one of the local stores, and they had all these not Rock Band, Guitar Hero, guitar with the game on the clearance for $2 a piece. So I bought them all thinking, oh, I'm going to make money off these and sell them online. I couldn't even give those things away. Like nobody wanted them. It was crazy, but I bought a bunch for $2 a piece, guitar with the game. And I had a hard time selling those.
Listen, I didn't know about bands like Boston until I played.
How
Rock
did
Band.
you not know Boston? But yeah, okay.
This is
I get
what
it.
I'm saying. I didn't know.
different-
I did listen.
Yeah.
I did. I literally played. Listen to like I was like, you would just look through the store and be like, oh, who's Boston? And you go listen to some of the song. You just. Look
I mean,
it
to
up,
be
like, oh,
honest,
okay.
this is right in my wheelhouse because we're all about the same age. Like we really shouldn't know that much about Boston. They came out like when we were born,
Exactly.
right?
Yeah.
But I was they were one of my favorite bands when I was 15 because my older brother pushed a lot of older music on me. So that's why Forte wouldn't know everything about Boston. Yeah. But,
Chat, did
first
you
time
guys
I-
used to play Guitar Hero or any of those rock bands and stuff like that? Yeah, it was so fun to me.
everybody did. I mean, they
Everybody did.
oversaturated the market. That's what I was going to ask you about in 20.
That was like
2000,
that was like
2010 or so. They had
Yeah.
really oversaturated Green Day, Van Halen, Metallica, and then Rock Band made 3 or 4 games. They did the Beatles thing. There was just so
the
many.
Beatles one. I had the Beatles one.
And you had to pay to license your songs up. Like I went all the way to Rock Band 3 and I had to pay the fee every time to bring my songs up to the third
You have
version.
to bring them over
and,
to the next version. Yep.
yeah.
It's funny
and
though, when
the-
you played the drums of all, when it comes to the instruments, the drums was almost like you playing real drums. I mean, you can sit on a real drum set and, actually carry the tune a bit.
That was the realest part of Rock Band.
Yeah.
Was the drums.
The drums.
your chat, I've been seeing people say they love Boston. I wish I knew you when I was a teenager because
Man,
when I was a
Boston so
teenager,
good.
people were listening to Vanilla Ice and they were listening to they were starting to listen to Nirvana and stuff. And I was in my car listening to Boston. Like nobody listened to Boston
did you
when I
get
was
that
listening
from your
to it.
parents though? Because I got all that kind of stuff from my parents.
No, my older brother,
dad
my older brother
especially.
for Christmas, he took a Memorex, brand new Memorex tape and recorded the Boston album on it and wrote with a green Sharpie, Boston minus Boston, because it was a self-titled album. And I'm like, thanks.
Oh, that's
thanks
crazy.
a lot.
Because I've
And-
even
Yeah,
found
man,
like
it was
my adult daughter listening to some of the stuff that I would play in the car when she was younger, and she hated it back then, but now she's listening to it. And I
Well,
catch
I mean,
her sometimes
it was
listening to it. And
19
I'm like, see, good stuff.
Yeah, it was
huh?
1989. Like in 1989, I can't remember what the most popular music was, but I remember that Christmas I put that in my Sanyo Walkman,
Sanyo.
and the first song is "More Than a Feeling," which I
Yeah.
think I
Yeah,
might have
More
heard on the
Than a-
radio.
Mm.
Yeah, and I had the foam the foam headphones on, and when he got into that first, when I closed my eyes and she slips away, like when I heard his vocals, I was like, holy crap, this is amazing. And there was like a 15-year-old in 1989 or whatever it was, and I was blown away. But yeah, nobody was listening to
Yeah,
that
bands
music.
bands like The Killers on Rock Band was stuff that I didn't really
Facts.
listen to, but I liked it
yep.
in Rock Band so much
you
that I
were
started
young.
listening to. When You Were Young was a
First
big
time I
hit
ever
on
heard
that.
that song was on Rock Band. First time I ever heard it.
Me too. And I was just like, oh, this band's pretty good, So
Yep.
man, there was so
Listen,
many
man.
though coming from Rock Band that I
Panic
never
at the
listened
Disco,
to.
which I wouldn't. Somebody my age wouldn't listen to Panic at the Disco, and then I liked a couple songs on there, and then there was like this little emo or indie rock part of me that was molded because of the songs on Rock Band. You lived them in your living room. We
Yeah.
had friends come over, we had family come over, and
Yep.
I had the TV mounted up on the wall, and I'd blast the surround
The
system.
first-
Yeah.
The latency locked in, and we would I would just be pouring in sweat, and
Dude, when
nobody was allowed to throw the
When
don't
they
throw the
came
cursor
out-
on.
When Rock Band came out with the Disturbed pack, that was the first time I was like, yo, this is crazy. And that was the first band I actually went to go see because of Rock Band. I
Yeah, see,
literally
that's
went to
No
go
way.
see this.
That's
I
Were you
literally
watching the
went to
concert
go
going-
see this? I literally went to see
yeah, exactly. Red,
Disturbed
blue, orange.
because of Rock Band. I was like, this is crazy. I went to a concert because of that.
Yeah. Yeah, no, that's what it does. And it had a lot of young people listening to some of that older music and actually making it chart again. And that's what happens with TikTok today. Music is played on TikTok, and it's old stuff that these young kids are now listening to, and they're charting on Apple Music and Spotify and everywhere else. You know, it's crazy that this happens. But yeah, I personally, I understand what you're getting at, though. A guitar and everything being sold is kind of a tough sell these days.
Plastic is, as much as some of us would want it, I really think the market. I sound like Bobby Kotick because Seamus Blackley was telling a story on Twitter that they pitched the Rock Band or the Guitar Hero concept to Bobby Kotick, and he's like, nah, nobody's gonna buy a piece of plastic in their living room. And then they ended up buying Guitar Hero. Activision ended up acquiring them. And then Xbox was working with Harmonix for quite a while.
Yeah.
I
remember my oldest brother was so good on the drums that he ended up buying for himself a like drum kit that you could hook up to the Xbox, but it was like this electronic drum kit that was way better than that plastic piece of crap.
Oh, he bought the pro model for the game.
Yeah, it was so cool.
It's like the real deal.
Yeah.
Our hi-hat is broken, and then the hi-hat and the cymbals, like when you hit them, they start to slide down we've used them every New Year's like clockwork. We get everything out of the understairs closet, we set it up, and we play Rock Band for like 3 hours.
Is all the music still there? Because I thought they got rid of some.
Dude, it's crazy because I always get so frustrated because I have to use the Authenticator app to log into my Xbox 360 and get on Xbox Live. Because you can't just log in. You have to use the Authenticator app because your login, your sign in does not work on the Xbox Live version on 360. So
but all your music is there, though.
Weird, yeah, everything's there, but it gives you this weird like password like and you have to punch it in with the Authenticator app. And then once we're up and the music's all there. I think almost all of it's there, and you can.
Yeah, it's all
I don't know
there.
if you
Because
can
I did it I did it like a couple years ago, and I saw it. I was like,
I remember when we first bought it, I was like kind of side eyeing it, going, I don't know if this is going to be something we're going to get into. Next thing you know, we're all sweating and everything, trying to play these songs and having a great time, hours and hours.
It's one of the small reasons why I got back into console gaming. Back in 2007 because Rock Band was brand new, or Guitar Hero was, and I think Rock Band came out 2008. Yeah. And I was like, ooh, like I was just getting in. So I was like, I should buy a PS2 because the PS2 actually had a crappy version of Rock Band, but the Xbox original did not. And I'm like, ooh, should I buy a PS2? Because I didn't want to get a PS3 and 360 early on because they were really expensive back in the day when I was just getting back in. So Phillips Robbins says Def Leppard is brilliant also. Def Leppard is the best music to play when you can only find one of your drumsticks. So that's always
that's bad. That's bad.
Rock of Ages.
No, I had a great time with that game back in the day. But we're all rock band out here, and if you've played it, that's great. Tell us your story in the chat or the comments or whatever. We'd love to hear what songs you guys like to play back in the day. But I
shout out to almost 400 people. Hit the like button for Fonz.
Yes,
it
please.
Makes it like this.
You see, I hardly ever ask to hit the like button. That's just something we don't like. It doesn't register.
We don't like
it's not that I don't like to do it, and it's not like I don't like the likes. The thing is just I don't think about it. I'm just having a conversation with friends in the chat, and it just feels organic and good, and I love that. That's what I love about doing the show is the fact that it's just we're talking here. That's all.
I think the chat kind of liked the music talk for a minute. So
yeah, of
good
course,
job, guys.
Chat's always they always like when we have an organic discussion and it's not just cookie cutter. Like, hey, what did you play today? I played Starfield and I beat Starfield, and no, they want to hear organic conversation. They want to, and this is real organic conversation, by the way. Not like some people out there, like Legendary Drops. No, I'm just kidding. Legendary Drops, I see you. I just mentioned you because I saw your name there.
Yep.
I appreciate you. Man, I appreciate you, Ian. You're doing great things over there. If you haven't checked out his channel, please go check him out, man. He's really doing big things. Talks about RPGs. That's his main bread and butter. Guy's a great guy too. Has a great podcast as well. Just Gaming Podcast. Check that out. Usually on right before my show and right into my show. Damn it. Damn you. And getting more popular every day. And I appreciate you guys. And I found you in the dumpster, by the way. Never lived that down, Ian. You were in the dumpster behind the crack house behind me. And I saw you there and I pulled you guys up into my show. And
you found me in the dumpster too, Fonz. Let's not
no.
forget.
Dealer found you in the dumpster.
Well, you were sniffing around too a little bit.
Yeah. I guess I was.
I don't know if people get what you say when you say we found you in the dumpster, but yeah, it's like when
it's just a joke.
When you find somebody's small channel and then they start kicking butt in the scene and doing awesome.
Yeah, I'm like,
just,
what are you
say,
doing
hey,
here?
I found you when you were in the dumpster.
Exactly.
Yeah.
You're just sitting here talking to yourself. It's like, no, come on my show, and then the dude got some confidence and somehow just skyrocketed. Guy's doing big things, way bigger than me now. So
it's awesome.
Awesome stuff. I see you, Mark, as well, the other half of Just Gaming Podcast. Anyways, this is not the Just Gaming Podcast show. Stop coming into my show and infiltrating while I have two great, well-established, if you listen to the beginning of the show, Bigfoot hunters. Right. These are well-renowned Bigfoot hunters. I've got Stank Toe and Huggy Bear. So they are talking. We were talking before we got interrupted by Rock Band. Stank Toe found a Bigfoot. He was on a train in the Colorado hills and mountains, and he found Bigfoot. So he's there. Seriously. Yeah, you brought some video over too, right?
I'm in Washington State.
Here Man, kind of creepy, huh? Kind of crazy. Somebody recorded a Bigfoot. It's weird that I had that on my show. What the hell am I doing?
That's weird that you have access to that so fast.
Yeah.
Wait, what's he doing?
In mysterious ways.
We all know that Colt works for the government.
You know what he's doing. I mean, look, it's obvious. Okay, let's go back to the video.
Bigfoot.
Shout out to Rand and the 10,000.
I think I'm the only gaming podcast
100,000.
who has played Bigfoot on his show.
This is a niche that you need to hold on to.
I need to hold on to this Bigfoot news. All right. Thank you for the super chat, Mark. He says, we love you, Fonz. You're a great creator, and these people need to hit that like button. Thank you very much. I said that wrong. He said, we love you, Fonz. You're a great creator, and these people need to hit that like button. He just yelled Didn't freaking just type it. He yelled it.
No, he yelled it.
It's there. Anyway,
whole chest, bro.
Outlaw said it looks like someone who's dressed up. No, it's Bigfoot. That is Bigfoot. If you can't tell. Anyways, with that said, we're going to end the show, people. I appreciate my guests today for coming along. I appreciate you guys for joining me today and everybody listening as well. And if you are listening out there on any of those streaming platforms, please drop by so you can see the gems like the Bigfoot sighting on my show live. It's really cool.
Yeah, if you're listening on Spotify, we appreciate you, but you're missing these hot gems on screen.
Yeah. Games Talk Live plus Bigfoot. It makes total sense. Anyways, come back on next week, please, and find us here to talk about more. Thank you, Stank Toe, for being here. Colt Eastwood, let everybody know where they can find you.
You can find me tomorrow on my show. You can find that. I'll leave all the shine for Games Talk Live. But yeah, I'll be on YouTube at Colt Eastwood, or you can find me on X.
Right there.
X. Just tweeting. Just whatever he calls it, posting. Yeah, I just appreciate it. Thank you for having me on. And it's good to hang out with Forte because I always learn something and I get to look at handsome Forte.
Handsome Huggy Bear, as we call him in the Bigfoot community. Huggy Bear or Gaming Forte. Let everybody know where they can find you as well. And I have your X link below.
Yo,
it sounds dirty, huh? I have your X link below. It's like, got an OnlyFans now? What's going on?
Your X OnlyFans. No, great show. Really appreciate the invite as always. Colt, I love you. We got to get back on Mass Effect and deal with those 360 servers again.
It works.
It
just works.
It worked. It just worked. But Gaming Forte, YouTube, Twitter, X. Come check us out over there. DPS podcast every Thursday night, 9 p.m.
Oh, he said X, then DP podcast. Did you hear that?
Yeah, X and DP podcast. And a couple people asked, these are Govee lights, curtains behind
I love those.
I love those.
A lot of people are asking what they are. That's what they are. It's a set of two. They are, I think right now they're $109 per set, but you hang them on a wall. And they do, and I can also
Govee has honestly, Govee is like one of the best when it comes to lights and stuff. Govee is a great brand.
What camera are you using?
We got fire breathing dragons back there right now.
He's got a DSLR, right?
Oh,
yes, I have
so good.
I have a Canon R10.
Jeez. I love it.
Yeah. But see, this is the thing. I always tell people, you don't need none of this. None of this stuff you need to be a content creator. You need none of this stuff to be relevant. The only reason I can get it and I afford it is because I don't have to really buy games because I work for GameStop and it gives me the ability to not have to. So my hobby now is converted over to just buying stuff to make my streams look better. So
it does look good, bro.
But none of this stuff you really need. But anybody that's asked, Govee curtain lights, they're really cool. You can hook up the 3 of them together to make.
How many do you have yourself?
I have 2. I have 2 right now.
Jeez.
That's 2 of them.
That's pretty big.
And then when you link them up, it knows that they're supposed to be acting as one unit.
Yes. Yes. Or you can do them all.
Can you create anything on those things? Can you create your own designs?
I have an Xbox logo on one of them.
Oh, do you?
That's so cool.
Did you try to create like a DPS logo?
I did.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's not. It doesn't look as good. I still got to work on that.
So it's got the 2 guys and that's different. All right. So we're gonna end the show now. Guys, thank you for joining.
See, there you go. Xbox logo. Let's go.
There you go. I appreciate everybody who's joined today. Until next week, guys. Game on.